Sometimes the sale of new construction seems a little bit more intense than a normal transaction that's not new construction. And I've been thinking about some of the reasons why. And here's a couple of things I came up with. With a non-new construction sale, just a regular house, the buyers and the sellers are usually pretty evenly matched in experience. Maybe it's the buyer's first home or second home. Maybe it's the seller's second or third home. Also, in a regular home sale, the realtors are more evenly matched experience-wise. Maybe the realtor representing the buyer sells 10 homes a year. The seller's agent sells 20. And they've both been doing it 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years each. But in new construction, the playing field is a little bit different. The developer, he or she usually sells 10 homes a year, 20 homes a year, 50 homes a year, every year. The buyer, maybe it's their first home, maybe it's their second home, maybe it's their third or fourth home. But that's a big difference. 50 homes a year, one home every 10 years. And on the realtor side, the buyer's rep, maybe one of their 20 sales this year is a new construction sale, and the other 19 are regular homes. That's usually the ratio. But the listing agent for the developer is a new construction specialist. So 50 of their 50 sales this year is new construction. 100 of their 100 sales last year was new construction. So they're very well versed in the new construction process and everything that comes along with it. And I'm not saying one side's better than the other. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the one side is more familiar with the etiquette and the expectations, more so than the other side, potentially. So when things happen during the new construction sale process, it's a surprise to one side and maybe not so much of a surprise to the other. Okay, one example would be if the settlement date is missed by the buyer side and the developer was rallying around that date and now is asking for a per diem for every day past closing that the buyer doesn't close. That's a surprise to the buyer. That's the normal course of business on the seller side, on the developer side. Same thing with materials not showing up. To the buyer side, that's a shock. Can't believe it. On the developer side, that's normal, right? Nothing's showing up on time these days. So there's a lot of things like that that, again, are common in the transaction, but common if you do it a lot. So a big part of our job is to really set those expectations and try to make the consumer and the consumer's representation understand that this is the process. This happens all the time. Hey, L&I didn't show up for the final inspection. One side is shocked. The other side, it's to be expected. They seem to never show up on time or when you need them to in some cases. So a lot of that comes down to communication and just understanding the process and just all working together to get to the finish line, because both parties want to get to the finish line ASAP. And I think sometimes each party feels that the other side just doesn't want to get there as fast as them. And nothing could be further from the truth. The buyer wants to get to closing, and you know who wants to get to closing even before the buyer? The developer, the seller. The buyer has costs that if the settlement date is missed, the buyer starts accruing costs. But guess what? The developer accrues 10 times the cost. And it's so much more costly. So they want to get there super fast as they humanly possible. So again, it comes down to communication and just getting everybody to kind of understand these little idiosyncrasies within this new construction niche, which sometimes is a little bit intense.